Alright guys, we're back here again today for another deck tech. I'm going to do this one a little bit differently because you guys were asking to see kind of a different side of it. So here we are, we got it laid out. If you guys are waiting for the orange big hit deck, this is it. You got Sergeant Springer, Private Sunrunner, and Private Fire Drive. This deck is like part orange 3 wide, part combo kind of. If you were paying attention last week, a deck just like this was on stream a couple times, played by Christian Young, and this deck is no joke. It definitely hits like the truck, even though it's a car, looks like a car, but it's a truck. But you know what I'm saying? Definitely hits like a truck. Basically, the whole concept of this deck is to get to 7 cards, because once you have the 7 cards in your hand, you flip this guy to big mode, and then you get an extra action and upgrade for that turn. So most of the time what you want to do is, if, say you're going first, you're going to draw your 4 cards, you're going to activate and flip into helicopter mode, discard an upgrade, go up to 5 cards, attack with fire drive, go up to 6 cards. And then at the start of your next turn, you draw a 7, so you can immediately flip right to bot mode and then start doing all these crazy shenanigan things. There's a lot of pieces in this deck that kind of just make it go. The convergent engine is really, really powerful in the deck. When going second, if this is the first card you play, awesome. You're just going to be up the whole game. It also gives you probably the best chance. These 2 cards, between Convergence and Kinetic Converter, they give you the best chance to not only do his ability once in a game, but twice against certain decks. At the end of the day, he has 16 health and 2 armor, so he's going to be around for a couple hits, even against orange decks. It's going to be very hard for an orange deck to one-shot this guy. They're going to have to hit the same numbers you are, and it's not easy to do without triggering multiple actions in a phase. You can see, this is pretty much a spot-on deck. There's a couple interesting cards. Like I said, Kinetic Converter is basically the 4th conversion engine. It's just here to keep you up on cards. It's easier. It just gives you another way to get to 7 cards, which is big. Um, you know, Soldier's Blaster is kind of a newish card. You're not really seeing it play. It's not seeing too much play, but both of these cards are to get around Sabotage Armaments. This reads when it attacks an opposite faction, the character gets +2 attack, so it gets around the armaments, because if it just attacks, if Springer, any of these guys attack a Shockwave, for example, well, they're going to get the +2 attack. So even if they have the armaments, it goes away, but they still get +2 attack instead of just +3. Not a big deal. Same thing with the range characters. You have 2 range. Private Fire Drive and Sun are both range characters. When they attack, bang, you get to shoot something for 2. Plasma Burst is no joke in this. You do notice we are low on star count. We're down by 1, so we get it Mountain Missiles in the deck, which is great. It's a 7th double orange, and it's a +2 when you play it. Some of the other interesting different cards are the iStyle function. You don't have a great function target in Sunrunner, but in the weird case that Springer dies, you can simply bring him back, which is pretty insane because it's a pretty nice thing to bring back. But Sunrunner isn't the worst play. If it's one of those where you get up to 7 cards for your second time and you have a function in your hand, you're normally able to flip him to bot mode, play the function, play the head-on collision or the reckless charge on your Sunrunner plus upgrade plus a second upgrade type thing. If you can have Sturdy Javelin and Mounted Missiles in your hand with function and head-on or reckless, like you're talking about 2, 5, 2 for that, which is 7, +1 for the ping, which is 8, +2 more, plus flips. It's not crazy ideal, as a function character, but as a 5-star, it's not completely terrible. You can actually hit a pretty good damage on him. I've had games where I've hit up to like 12 or 13 damage with him. Currently, the white count is high-ish. It's at 10, but without really, you would almost be forced to take out the javelins. I think they're the weakest whites in the deck. If you start to find problems with whites, but this card as a card is insane. So it's really hard to cut down on this card, period. But if you do feel like the whites are too much, I think the first cut for whites would be Sturdy Javelins for certain. Next, you're looking at just some interesting different cards. Once again, it's like Ancient Wisdom is seen play in this deck, but as you see, we have a pretty good split between action and upgrade. It might be, pretty close to right down the middle. But really, it's just a matter of being able to see more cards to get to 7. So, like, once again, like, say if, somehow they kill your Fire Drive on 1, you don't get to draw that extra card. A card like Ancient Wisdom will help you get up to a +2 or really a +1, for example, just to help you get back. So, if you can, once again, just play a converter on him, Ancient Wisdom, get 2 cards, flip him, get a card from converter, discard a card, get 2 more cards from the flip. It's just all about trying to get him to 7 so you can set up and mold this in crazy powerful turn. Just for base numbers, you can very, very easily get your Springer up to 15, 16, 17 attack. It's very, very easy. Like, flip from the bot mode, get your double action, play a head on collision, play a reckless charge. That's already 13 damage. That doesn't even include a weapon. You put on a weapon, alright, fine. He's at 17. If you don't have this weapon, maybe, or not even this one, that's 17 plus, if you get a conversion engine, that's 18. So you're at 18 damage before you flip a card. So just think about that for a second. It's not a normal number before flipping a card. Those are the type of numbers you hear after flipping. This deck is capable of getting that before flipping anything. And then that's not even including on turns really what you're going for. The whole point of this deck and the whole combo of the setup is your Peace to Tyranny. Games where you can attack with Fire Drive on your first, draw up to 7, and have a Peace to Tyranny in your turn, in your hand is going to be absurd, because the next turn you're just going to play Peace to Tyranny. You're going to get a Peace to Tyranny on your Sunrunner. He's going to be in this mode. You're going to get 2 actions. So you're between the 7 cards in your hand, right? We'll go to 7. We'll go to 6, 5, and then, 4. So 4 cards still in hand. You're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then the 5 cards is 15. So your Sunrunner can potentially swing for 15 out of your 5-drop. And that's if you feel like you have to even go that high. You probably won't have to go that high, because as long as you attack correctly with Fire Drive, attacking the guy you believe they're going to attack with first, then you don't even need to commit all that, because you're going to have a PTT turn, and you still want to have some type of cards in your hand for the PTT turn. But those are just kind of the example of exactly what this deck is capable of doing and how powerful it can really be. So, if you're looking for the big orange, looking for some big swings, I assure you guys this is the way to do it. This deck it definitely packs a punch. It has some really interesting play with converters and conversions engines, and it's a ton of fun to play. It really is. It's probably the most fun I've had playing an orange deck since Siege 2. So if this is the deck you're waiting for, let me know your thoughts on it. We're still working on sideboard options. There's a couple different options of turning into a car potentially and having some like start your engines in the board and stuff like that. There's also an idea that we've been floating around about building this deck as Springer with 2 cars, and seeing how that would go with the untaps. Basically, like, since Springer is so gigantic, he can stick around, he can take 2 hits, and then playing off 2 smaller cars, to keep your draw engine up rather than just having Fire Drive is kind of something else we've been thinking about toying around with. But we haven't fully explored that yet. This is the deck we've been testing. This is the deck that's showing a lot of results. It definitely packs a punch against your Shockwaves of the world. It packs a punch against your Galaxy Primes and your other blue decks that you're seeing, because, like I said, Springer can straight just get to like 18 base, 19 base attack if you have the whole setup plus flips. So like even a blue deck on its best day, flipping 5, 6 cards, you're still going to hit that character for like 10 or 11 damage probably. And then even against the orange decks, the 4 wide decks, like, you have game against them. You have a way to to be able to kill off scrapnels because you have inner pings and zaps and one shot stands. They're all in the deck. And then, like I said, with the PTT turns, you can potentially kill a guy and then also have a second turn where you just use Springer to kill another guy. And then, you have two guys left untouched, unscathed against their two guys. So, and not to mention your guys are already going to be kind of set up for them to have to try and take them out. And it's not an easy deck. It's not an easy thing for them to do when they're on the draw. On the play, it's still a little sketchy, and you're gonna have to need some luck. But as a 3 wide aggro against a 4 wide aggro, you kind of just have to pick your spots and hope for the best. And this is definitely one of the better decks we have going for us right now, coming out of the 3 wide aggro decks. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you guys want any more information on this. This is definitely one of the decks where we're going to be testing for PAX Unplugged. It's a contender for some of us to play. So let me know. Let me know in the comments, or just message me on Discord, whatever you want to do to chat about this one. All right, thanks guys. Have a good one.